Renton in Bath. What's your story?
Oh, hi there. It's Renton here from Bath, yeah?
Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, my son suffered terribly with agoraphobia for probably for about a year and a half.
Do you know what started it?
Panic attacks started it, basically, in depression.
And do you know what started that?
I really don't know. Got no idea whatsoever, nor has he.
Right,
basically.
okay.
But he spent about a year and a half, not only in the house, but in the corner of his bedroom. He got no further than his bedroom.
How old was he, Renton?
22, 23.
Tell me, Renton, you had to observe this. What did you do?
Well, it was a complete nightmare, to be honest with you. It affected both my wife's work and my work. We had to spend a lot of time, because he had probably 8 panic attacks a day. And we had to sort of basically keep coming home from work and seeing what was happening. And he was just hiding in the corner of his bedroom all the time.
Right.
He couldn't come downstairs even to get a drink because he's too frightened to do it.
And was he able to talk about what frightened him?
No, but everything frightened him, basically.
Right, okay.
Just seeing me at home or seeing his mum, everything seemed to frighten him. So he couldn't get his face from basically under his pillow in the corner of his bedroom.
So,
he was that scared to move.
Now, how long did you live with that before you were able to get help?
Probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Right.
So we did get help in the end.
How did that help arrive at your doorstep?
Well, we went on the internet to see if we could find somebody that could help, because we kept going to the doctor and he said, oh, he's just depressed and, take these pills and these drugs. And these weren't helping, basically. So we went on the internet to see if there's any alternatives, and we came across Charles Lyndon's site. So we phoned him up, had a good long chat with him, and at the end of the day, it was not what he was taking that helped him to come out of it, but it was his thought processes.
So we're back to you are what you think again, like in the first hour. That's
exactly,
interesting.
Yeah.
So how did Charles Lyndon help your son?
Well, we were basically desperate, because it didn't seem that the NHS could help us very much, because we just kept going backwards and forwards to speak to various people, and none of them really could sort of give us a solution, and it just kept going on and on. So we ordered the Lyndon Method pack and had it sent down to us, and it was absolutely brilliant. In fact, I related to it quite a lot, really, because I always think you become what you think about most of the time, first of all, and I've always been a very positive thinker, and I think you become what you eat, you become what you read, you become what you watch, and you become what you listen to, and it really helped us.
So now, may I ask how much the pack cost?
I think it was £110, something like that.
So when you saw how much this thing cost, did you have any reservation?
None whatsoever.
Why were you so certain it was going to work?
Well, I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't. You weren't, but you were just you were going to pay whatever you had to pay for because you had to get your son better.
Exactly. I mean, what you pay doesn't really come into it, because I was prepared to try anything to find a solution, and it did end up being the solution for us. He's come out of himself. He's now got a job as sales manager. He's confident. He's happy. Got a nice girlfriend.
Did you ever get to the root of why it happened to him?
No.
Does it matter that you didn't?
No, it doesn't.
Because it's kind of like it's irrelevant.
It is kind of irrelevant, really, because what happened, happened. And all I can say is we don't know why it happened. It appears that he started having these when he was about 9 or 10 years old, because he was sent home from school because he was sort of having convulsions. I mean, he used to fall down flat on his face in a shop with terrible panic attacks, and put his hands over his face.
I mean, I'm going to be, as you know, I'm going to be talking to Charles Lyndon in about, 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Does this method, does any of it include drugs?
No.
It's just about rerouting your thinking process, is it?
Well, I mean, I knew nothing about panic attacks or depression, because I don't suffer with anything like that. but is a new learning process for both me and my wife to know how it all works. So we not only went through the Linden method with Elliot, but we also listened to it and read it all ourselves, because he couldn't even watch television or listen to the radio, so we had to kind of read it out to him, most of it.
Blimey.
So he was so sensitive to anything that stimulated his mind, because all he thought about was panic attacks. And if he thought about a panic attack, he'd have another panic attack.
Right.
So the Linden method really is teaching you how to change your processes of your thoughts.
Okay.
Well, if you have an evil thought, you keep thinking about it. The more you think about it, the more it happens.
Okay, listen, brilliant. Thank you, Renton, for phoning in. I will, after, when we come back from the news, I'm going to be talking to Charles Linden to find out exactly how the method works, which is how Renton's son got, after suffering so severely from agoraphobia, how he got back into the outside world. Vic, this is LBC 97.3, it's 2:30. It's 2:32 and 32 exactly. Now, you've heard callers. I understand how difficult it must be for you to telephone in if you do have some form of agoraphobia. But let me tell you that we can't see you, and your calls will help other people. The first person, Renton from Bath, phoned in about his son, and he was talking about from watching his son getting increasingly worse between the ages of 20 and 22, and then finding the Linden method on the internet. 0845 6060 973 if you've used it. Text me 84850 if you've used something else to deal with your agoraphobia, or email me so you don't have to speak to me at all, jenny@lbc.co.uk. Charles Linden, I am so grateful that you phoned us in. I don't know if you heard Renton's call. Did you hear it?
I did, yes. I just caught the end of it.
Absolutely fascinating. Please may I ask how you came across your method? Did you suffer from agoraphobia?
I suffered from extreme anxiety, panic attacks, agoraphobia, OCD, from a very early age, really. It developed through my childhood, into my teens and adulthood, yeah.
And did you have outside help?
I had every help that you could possibly get through the NHS and otherwise. In fact, I had to remortgage the house to pay for some of the psychotherapy and medications and the treatments I had over the years. It was a horrible journey, a really rocky road.
Now, when did you detect it in yourself? Were you as young as 7?
I was younger than that, I think. I mean, I can still remember now, in the first bedroom I had in our first home, just staring at the ceiling, wondering why my heart was racing and why I was having such strange dreams and thoughts. Mostly separation anxiety, I think, at that age. But, of course, anxiety disorders manifest themselves differently all through life, so...
Is OCD an anxiety disorder? Is that how you would describe it?
Well, first of all, I don't like this word disorder. It sort of suggests illness. And the thing is, anxiety conditions aren't illnesses. They're behavioural conditions. And it's very easy to lump these conditions into pigeonholes and say that they're all mental illness or some kind of anxiety disorder. But the truth is that an anxiety condition that manifests itself as inappropriate levels of anxiety can obviously manifest many physical and psychological symptoms. And some of these are the obsessive thoughts, the what-if thoughts that are fueled by the anxiety. And these thoughts are part of the flight or fight response and supposed to protect us in times of true threat. But the problem is, you see, in anxiety disorder, these thoughts come at inappropriate times. And they're called what-if thoughts. We call them what-if thoughts because they're the ones that do this risk analysis of the situation you're in. So if you're in a room with a tiger in it, you have to start asking yourself very quick questions subconsciously to protect yourself. I need to either fight it or flee from it.
Right.
But where the anxiety is inappropriate and where you're in a situation, say in your living room, where there clearly isn't any real threat present, but you still experience these high levels of anxiety and adrenaline, the body is still preparing itself for action to either flee from or fight the potential threat.
Right.
And these what-if thoughts are designed or have been developed in the human body to do these risk analyses of the situation you're in. So we have a lot of people. I mean, OCD is an extension of that, really. It's these what-if thoughts. And there's something called pure O as well, which is just the obsession without the compulsion, without the physical action that is supposed to undermine how you're feeling.
So given if you had all this happening to you, this kind of anxiety condition, how did you study? Because you presumably went away and studied. Did you get out of the house, or did you have agoraphobia as well?
I had terrible agoraphobia. In fact, there was one stage I think I didn't leave the house for about 3. In fact, I didn't leave the living room for about 3 months. I used to huddle myself against a radiator and sit there until my girlfriend came home and rescued me every day. It's incredibly debilitating. And in fact, every symptom. And you asked before about OCD, whether OCD is a disorder and if that's an anxiety disorder. Yes, it is, but it's more a symptom of anxiety, as is post-traumatic stress disorder, agoraphobia, and all of the other symptoms and sensations and thoughts that people with anxiety conditions experience. And they're incredibly overwhelming, and and they only hit the strongest people. Because the weakest people fall at the first hurdle, realise their limitations, and don't continue. The strongest people are those who have what I call creative intelligence, often called emotional intelligence. They're self-driven, very creative people, and these are the people generally that we see that have developed anxiety disorders, because they need this creativity to be able to somatize a condition like this.
But listen, you're talking to me articulately and completely fluently. At what stage did you get out of the crouching in the corner syndrome? What happened?
It happened incredibly quickly, and it does for all our clients, and we've helped over 117,000 people now worldwide to cure their anxiety disorder. And I use the word cure in its strictest sense. Yeah. This isn't a condition that needs to be managed or for first aid techniques to be used or breathing techniques or posture. The anxiety disorders can be very quickly cured, and I have to say, my chronic panic attacks, I had 8 to 10 a day, and my chronic agoraphobia and OCD, the panic attacks stopped almost immediately. I implemented the method that I now provide to people around the world to do the same. And the way I did that really was I went out and researched anxiety disorders, so I understood the physiology. I then talked to hundreds and hundreds of recovered sufferers, not actual sufferers, but people that had been through the process of recovery. And I tried then to look at some kind of structure that would reverse engineer the effect that they experienced purely by chance. And I looked at the similarities between their cases. And over time, I started to understand what it was that they did to build this environment for recovery that they needed to make a full recovery. And I was able to reverse engineer a solution that over the years I've found.
What's interesting listening to you, dear, wonderful, genius Charles Linden, is that you have the perfect condition for researching this condition.
Absolutely.
Because it requires the nitpicking that you've clearly done on behalf of everybody else, and the correlation and the looking at and the dealing with.
Yes.
And I'm so, it's a terrible thing to say, but I'm really pleased you had it so that you could get through it. Now, when people buy, and I don't care how much your method costs, if it's £3,000, it's going to get them better. What do you provide for them in this pack?
Okay, well, it's pretty unique, really. The physical pack itself, obviously, is my attempt at putting myself into a box, if you like, because it's what I say and how I say it that sort of empowers people to allow this to snowball to a full recovery. Because what we're trying to do is build an environment for change. Because it is about environment. A guy said earlier on the phone, you are what you eat. I think it was Renton actually said you are what you eat, what you think and what you do. It's absolutely right. We're all the product of our environment.
Just let me, in parenthesis, I must ask you that. And Paul passionately phoned in before when he was talking about the mumbo jumbo of women talking, being positive. I think he has his position because orthodox medicine does marvellous stuff. But this is not mumbo jumbo that you're talking. Positive thinking is not mumbo jumbo, is it?
Absolutely not. No, positive thinking, forms a small part of it because obviously perception is immensely powerful. We can all cause other people to salivate when we talk about, nice juicy lemons being bitten into. So we can all impact on other people physically just by suggestion. So positive thinking is incredibly powerful. But what is more powerful and more important is a structured way of addressing the control center in the brain that controls the anxiety response. And the only way to do that, because this control center only responds to emotion and behavior. It can only do that. It's not reachable by outside sources, which is why medication and conventional therapies don't work, and things like hypnosis. They don't get deep enough into the subconscious mind, into the amygdala, which is the organ that causes and perpetuates the anxiety response. So it's completely missed. And no drug will ever be developed that can do that, because it has to be so targeted, and it has to remove those neural pathways of learning that have developed in order to create the anxiety disorder.
So your pack, it's absolutely specific. You start day 1, you do day 2. Is it done chronologically? How does it work?
Well, it is and it isn't really. Yeah, there's a very strict structure. There's a video that you watch first of all when you join the method, and that video is something that I call Fast Track to Recovery, which really covers the rules, the ground rules of what you have to do. Because one of our biggest issues, it's like learning the piano or any instrument. I can sit you in front of a piano, I can open the lid, I can put your fingers on the keys, and I can teach you to read music. But if you want to adopt the piano playing habit, you have to move your fingers. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's about practice, because this is a learning process. You've learned to be anxious. You have to unlearn that process.
Now listen to me. Because you're fascinating. You from crouching in the corner to doing this research. How long have you now been able to go out, live your life, watch television, jump up and down? How long now?
Well, within 3 days of me implementing what I did, I overcame my panic attacks completely. They stopped.
3 days?
Within 3 days.
72 hours?
Yes. Within 5 days, I had completely overridden and cured my agoraphobia. And I actually provide, in the Linden Method pack now, if you go to the lindenmethod.co.uk, you'll see on the website, I provide 5 audio recordings. There's actually 7. There's an intro and an outro. But there's in the center of that is 5 recordings, actual recordings made by me as I challenge my agoraphobia on 5 consecutive days. And I provide that for people who join the program, because I think it's vital that they hear me going through the process.
What does the medical profession think about you?
Well, we receive most of our new clients through psychologists, doctor, psychiatrists, CPN referrals. So that'll show you what some people think of us in the underground anxiety elimination movement, if you like. Generally, most people criticize us, but they have a vested interest in doing so, because clearly they have livelihoods. They don't want to lose all their clients to us. We've had psychologists phone up shouting, what have you done with all my clients? In fact, I had one person who helped people in the forces. She was involved in helping people with post-traumatic stress disorder in the police force and ambulance service and fire brigade. And she phoned me very, very angry, saying, 3 of my clients have left me. What have you done with them? Well, I've cured them. And you've been seeing them 3 years, and so I'm sorry, and then she actually got a copy of the Linden Method and phoned me a few weeks later and said, I know exactly what you're doing now, and I agree that it works.
And they applaud you.
And she's referred to me. But top psychologists, they love to rip into me, because I basically do the job they fail to do most of the time. And it's only a compliance issue.
And your ability to get to the truth of what was going wrong with you was through painstaking scientific research.
It was through very, very practical research, though, Jenny. I mean, I didn't really go out there and read many, science journals or scientific findings. It was just purely experiential. I mean, I just went out there and spoke to absolutely dozens of recovered sufferers to find out what they did. And then over time, you see, we've added to the resource. So we add videos and we add relaxation. These things are very, very powerful if used in the right way as first aid techniques to undermine. There's a Panic Eliminator CD in the pack, which shows you how you can quickly stop panic attacks from happening, undermine the very core of them. So there are lots of first aid things involved in this that are very, very useful, and that's what most people provide, because most doctors and psychologists will tell you that anxiety is something you have to learn to cope with, something that can't be cured, but it's absolute rubbish. I mean, I've got 117,000 people, and you can look on the website and see videos from people. In fact, the BBC 2 weeks ago put live a Video Nation mini documentary they did with a lady called Claire about the Linden Method, and that can be found on the Video Nation website.
Listen, let us get your website properly. It's lindenmethod.co.uk.
It's thelindenmethod.co.uk is the sort of main site.
And anything on that site, people will be able to get telephone numbers and assistance.
Absolutely.
Listen...
And, Jenny, I have to say one more thing. How many more psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors guarantee their work? When you buy into the Linden Method concept, we don't want your money if we can't help you. So we guarantee this for 12 months. If we can't get you well, you've got 12 months to send the pack back and get a full refund.
So you're not, like Paul, our lovely Paul was saying, you're not in it for the money?
Not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. If people want the refund after 6, 10, 12 months, they can send it back and get a full refund. We don't want your money.
Well, you'll be hearing from me. You will definitely be hearing from me on behalf of a member of my family.
Excellent. And Vicky as well from Sutton. If she wants some help with her agoraphobia, please put her in touch with us. We'll help her out.
We'll do that. We'll do that. I thank you very much for every second of that conversation. 2:49, we're coming up to 10 to 3. No chat from me. If you want to talk about agoraphobia, which many of you do, phone me. I've just talked to Charles Linden, the author of the Linden Method. It's all the W's, the lindenmethod.co.uk. It's a money-back guarantee. Something that Paul alerted us to from Harrow is that, there's mumbo-jumbo going on and people just kind of cranks and quacks out there. He has a point. This Charles Linden, however, is no crank. He's no quack. He sounds like the real deal. I mean, how simple. I don't know what the Linden Method is, but you can find out what it is by going to www.lindenmethod.co.uk. Charles Linden, he is the author of it. We spoke to him for 15 minutes, and he cured himself and hundreds of thousands of others. This is LBC 97.3.